Welcome to the Angler's Tunnel, which in my opinion is probably one of the more straightforward dungeons that I've went through. So just kind of follow along here at the beginning and we can get a lot of the more important items out of the way really quickly. So if we immediately head over to the right, there is a couple of enemies in here. Make sure you kind of keep your shield up to get rid of these little spiked ones. And then if you walk over to this chest, we can actually go ahead and get the compass like fairly easily. Like we're 2 seconds in and now we got it. So, I mean, 1 down, 3 to go. Going up the stairs from the first section, if we stay on the bottom part and we head all the way to the right, we can actually find another chest and we can open it and get the stone beak, which is 2 out of the 4 important items. So making quick progress. And then we head up and then we keep heading up and we can actually find another chest which is going to house the map. So we can pretty much navigate this entire thing from the get-go. So yeah, that's pretty easy. Pretty good. Anyways, heading across this little gap using our Pegasus boots, we make our way into the next room where we can bomb a little, I guess it's like a little block or brick or something, and then we can push the other one off into the water and we can open this one to get a small key. Heading up a little bit further into this room, watch out for the bubble that's flying around and these little pea hats that are flying above you as they can kind of land and hit you. But moving on, we head up into the next room and we can actually blow these little blocks up with another bomb and we get another, you guessed it, small key. Making our way all the way back down to that bottom right room, we go down a little bit and there's actually a room here that we can bust into, and there's a chest in the middle which has another small key. All you have to do here is kill these little like water skaters. All 4 of them will open the door back for you, which will lead you back into the room we were just in. So unlocking this door on the right, we see that we're on the other side of the little area where we got the stone beak from. Just kind of make your way around this large puddle and don't fall in or it'll take some damage. And then we can open up another door and keep heading forward where we see a chest that we're not going to be able to get to just yet without the flippers. So we use a Pegasus jump to get across this little gap and then use another small key on a stone and we can push our way into this next room where we see a staircase and then a pathway to the left. Pushing that block up, it's going to block off the staircase, so we head in this room to the left, and if we kill all the slimes in this room, we can actually see a small key drop from the ceiling, but it falls into a hole, so we'll have to come back for that a little bit later. Now that we're officially out of small keys for the time being, we're going to head down into this next room, which is quite a large room. There's a lot of space where you can fall into the water here, so kind of be careful there, but we're just going to kind of explore this and see if there's anything of interest. As you can see, there is a chest on the left there, but we're not going to be able to get to it until we get the flippers, of course. Pretty much any of these little spots where the water is too deep for you to actually just walk on top of it, you just kind of have to come back to it a little bit later. Making our way all the way around the bottom outskirts, we actually come into another room where we see a couple more pea hats and some stalfos. Go ahead and get rid of them, and then we have another chest right here, which is actually just a little green Zol in disguise. So, just take him out and then you can walk over here to the left. No way for us to get into there just yet, so we're just going to take this top path right here. Walking up into this next room, we actually have these little pattern blocks, but we're not going to actually be able to do the pattern just yet because to do it correctly we're going to need the flippers because we have to go to the bottom right, and then we realize that the top left one is the next option. There's no way for us to get there with our Pegasus boots, so we head over into the next room and open this chest to find, you guessed it, small key. Backtracking a little bit and using the new key that we have, we walk into the mini-boss room where we have to fight Q-Ball. This boss is pretty straightforward. You basically just have to hit him from behind because if you hit him from the front, he blocks it pretty much. So just try to get any hits in you can. He'll turn around and kind of come at you from the rear for some reason, which gives you easy hits. So just kind of like maneuver around and try to get behind him as much as you can. He can kind of like pin you up against the wall a little bit, but just use your Rock's Feather to jump over him if you need to. I kind of had pretty decent luck with that. Getting that fairy and walking into the next room, we can actually see a new mechanic here that we've never seen before. All you have to do is kind of like pull this lever, and then you can see that it's kind of like a timed event where you have to just move in between the next little blocks or else they'll close on you. But you walk into this next room, and here are the flippers. We officially have all 4 of the important items in the dungeon, so the rest of this is basically just going to be you kind of like maneuvering around and figuring out where we need to go. Heading down into this next room, we actually see the same kind of puzzle that we've seen before, and this is actually going to be the exact same solution to the other puzzle, so kind of keep that in mind. But just get rid of a couple of these little helmosaurs that are walking around. You have to hit them directly from the back because their helmet is made of metal and it will just deflect it. So take your time with those, I guess, and just make sure you're actually behind them. And then we can swim over to the right here, and it brings us back to before the boss room, or the mini boss room. Heading over to the right, we're actually going to go down that staircase that we seen earlier. You can use your Roc's Feather to get through this section pretty easily, but this is basically where that little key that we seen that dropped down into the hole earlier lands. So you just use your new flippers to hop down into the water, and you can grab that key pretty easily. So yeah, then you can just make your way back up. Walking back over here to this little pattern room, we're going to use the same exact pattern that we used in the other room that had the patterns, which is going to be this. Starting at the bottom right, we make our way up to the top left, and then make our way over to the top right, hit the middle switch, and of course the last switch in the bottom left. This is going to pause the screen, and it's going to open up a little stairway on the top right of the screen. Heading down into this staircase, we have a side-scroller section with a couple of these thwomps that are going to come down at us. You're basically just going to like bait out the little attack they do and then walk underneath. And then for this last one, you kind of have to get on top of him and then jump over onto the top of this little platform. And then you just climb up the ladder, and then we're good to go. Making our way up the stairs, we see some of those P-hats that we were dealing with earlier, and we head down to open the chest to find the nightmare key, and that's pretty much all this dungeon has to offer pretty much, so now we can go fight the boss. So we're going to head back over here to the right towards this big room and then hop up. You'll have to hit that switch to open the gate, and then we can use a small key to open that little section there. We can hop down into this little side-scrolling section. Now we can just swim all the way to the top left, and then we'll up the ladder, and we'll be pretty much right outside of the boss room. Walking into the room before the boss room, we push this block to the side, and there's some enemies and pots if you need any items. Head into the boss room, and there's a staircase down to a little side-scrolling section. From here, we just hop down into the water and swim down, and we get to see the anglerfish. So I'm not really sure if I had just a lucky rotation with this or what, but he pretty much stayed at the bottom for me the entire time. The whole goal is just to hit the little lighting thing on his head. I don't know what to call that, but you just hit it over and over again, and then he's going to hit the walls and bring these little boulders down, and then he'll even yell and bring in these little enemies. So just you can take them out in pretty much one hit, at least with the red tunic you can. It might be 2 hits with the green tunic or the blue, but you just keep hitting him in the head with the little light, and then eventually he'll die, and then he'll drop a heart piece, as all the bosses do. Grabbing that heart piece and making our way out of the little side-scrolling section, we move up into the next room to find, boom bam, the surf harp. Probably one of the cooler looking instruments in my opinion. Just personal preference there. Other than that though, that's pretty much all I have for you for this guide. This was definitely a pretty straightforward dungeon compared to a lot of the other ones so far. But yeah. Now that you have the flippers, there's a lot of stuff that you can actually explore in the world through the water. I've definitely gotten a couple of heart pieces already just exploring around, so be sure to do that if you want. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in our next guide.